She thought school was supposed to be a safe place, a place to learn, to laugh, to belong. But one day, in the middle of crowded hallways, everything changed. A cruel whisper turned into a shove turned into an attack, and the reason behind it cut deeper than any bruise, the color of her skin. She wasn't just being bullied, she was being targeted. And while she fought to hold back tears, someone else was watching. Someone who would not let this end quietly. What happened next would shake the entire community. Her name was Maya. At just 16, she was the kind of teenager every parent hopes for. Bright, hard-working, and full of quiet determination. She loved sketching in her notebook between classes, staying after school for science club, and texting her best friend about college dreams that seemed just within reach. Her father, a dedicated FBI agent, often reminded her that resilience was in her blood, and Maya believed him, until the day her world shifted. At school, Maya wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but she carried herself with quiet confidence. She believed in treating everyone with kindness, no matter what. Yet beneath the surface of everyday teenage drama, a shadow had been growing. Whispers in the hallway, snickers when she walked by, subtle comments about her hair, her skin, her family. She tried to brush them off, convincing herself it was nothing. After all, kids could be cruel sometimes, but this was different. The looks weren't just careless, they carried venom. The jokes weren't harmless, they cut deep. And while Maya tried to focus on her studies, her heart carried the weight of an invisible target on her back. Her father noticed the change. The long silences at dinner, the way she avoided eye contact when he asked about her day. He wanted to press, but he also wanted to give her space. What he didn't know was that the storm was already building, and soon it would break wide open. At first, Maya told herself it would pass. Maybe the whispers were just mean jokes. Maybe the stares would fade with time. But the cruelty only grew bolder. Books knocked from her hands in crowded hallways. Desks pulled away when she tried to sit down. Lunch tables suddenly full whenever she walked past. Each act chipped away at her confidence, isolating her in a place where she once felt safe. Then came the notes. Slipped into her locker, scrawled in jagged handwriting, "Go back where you came from. You don't belong here." Maya read them in silence, folding them up and hiding them deep in her bag so her father wouldn't see. But hiding the pain didn't stop the storm brewing around her. One afternoon, it all escalated. She stayed late to finish a project, walking alone through the near-empty hallway when a group of students cornered her. Their laughter echoed against the walls, cruel and sharp. They didn't just call her names, they shoved her hard, sending her books scattering across the floor. One of them spit near her shoes, the words he hurled at her heavy with hate. Maya froze, fear rushing through her like ice. She wanted to scream, but her voice was trapped in her throat. In that moment, she wasn't just a student, she was a target. And the more she tried to hold her ground, the more vicious their taunts became. The final shove sent her crashing into a locker. She hit the floor, her backpack spilling open, papers scattering like broken pieces of her world. For a moment, time seemed to stop. She could hear her own breathing, fast and shallow, and the pounding of her heart so loud it drowned out everything else. When she finally picked herself up, bruised and shaken, she thought the worst was over. But she didn't realize someone had seen it all. One of the bullies had pulled out his phone, recording the assault like it was entertainment. That video wasn't just cruel, it was dangerous. Within hours, it would spread across social media, turning her private humiliation into a public spectacle. At home, Maya sat in silence at the dinner table, trying to mask the sting in her voice. Her father studied her carefully, every instinct as an FBI agent and as a father, screaming that something was wrong. He didn't push yet. But when his phone buzzed with a message from a colleague, a link to a video that was already circulating online, his blood ran cold. It wasn't just bullying anymore. It was an attack fueled by hate, shared for the world to see. And for a man who had spent his career hunting criminals, this wasn't going to be ignored. Because this wasn't just about his daughter. It was about justice. And he was about to make sure those responsible would learn that some lines should never be crossed. The moment he pressed play on that video, her father's world shifted. He had spent years watching criminals justify cruelty, But nothing prepared him for seeing his own daughter shoved to the ground while laughter echoed around her. The bruise on her arm, the look of terror in her eyes, it wasn't just evidence, it was a wound carved into his soul. The next morning, he walked into the school, not as an FBI agent, but as a father on the edge. Teachers froze when they saw his face. The principal stammered, fumbling excuses about kids being kids. But he wasn't listening. Every fiber of his being was locked on one truth. His daughter had been attacked, and no one had protected her. Then came the breaking point. One of the bullies swaggered through the hallway, smirking like the video was a trophy. Their eyes met. For a second, the boy's confidence wavered under the weight of a stare, sharpened by years of chasing down criminals. The hallway went silent, as if everyone sensed the storm about to break. Maya's father stepped closer, every movement controlled but charged with fury. The boy's smirk faded. The air was electric, the kind of silence before lightning strikes. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. His presence alone sent chills through the room. In that moment, Maya realized the line had been crossed, and there was no going back. This wasn't just bullying anymore. It was a fight for dignity, for safety, for justice. And as her father's hand clenched around the printed still frame of that video, one thought burned in his mind. If the system won't protect her, I will. In the days that followed, the video spread faster than anyone could contain it. What the bullies meant as a cruel joke became undeniable proof of something darker. Parents were outraged. Teachers scrambled to explain how such violence had gone unnoticed. The school board launched an investigation, but for Maya and her father, the damage had already been done. Maya carried the bruises longer than they lasted on her skin. The whispers still followed her in the hallways, but now they were different. Shame, guilt, silence. Some classmates avoided her eyes. Others finally spoke up, admitting they had seen the bullying for months, but had been too afraid to intervene. That realization cut deeper than the attack itself. Her father fought the school every step of the way, ensuring that accountability wouldn't just be a word tossed around in a meeting. But he also knew justice wasn't just about punishing a few students. It was about challenging the system that allowed this cruelty to thrive in the first place. For Maya, the scars became a reminder, painful but powerful. She refused to be defined by what happened. Instead, she started speaking out, sharing her story, and standing up for others who felt voiceless. What began as humiliation transformed into strength. And yet, beneath the personal victory lies the larger truth. Maya's story isn't rare. It's part of a painful pattern, repeated in schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods across the country. Each incident might feel isolated, but together they form a reality too many live every day. So the question remains, not just for Maya, not just for her father, but for all of us. How many more stories like this will it take before silence is no longer an option?